My name is Stephen Pope. I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy, and we just started a new service called My Agency Guy, where we come in and help other agencies, and today's show is going to be dedicated to them. So we're going to have behind the scenes, we've got guests that are going to come on air and ask me live questions. And if you would like to join us and ask me a question live on camera, you can spend about 10 minutes with me on camera. We'll put a link right there in the top YouTube comment as well as the YouTube description. My name is Stephen Pope. I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy, and we just started a new service called My Agency Guy, where we come in and help other agencies, and today's show is going to be dedicated to them. So we're going to have behind the scenes, we've got guests that are going to come on air and ask me live questions. And if you would like to join us and ask me a question live on camera, you can spend about 10 minutes with me on camera. We'll put a link right there in the top YouTube comment as well as the YouTube description. Going live in 40 seconds. Look forward to your questions. Please enter your questions into chat, and we're going to be doing live interviews today. So click on that Streamyard link if you want to come on camera. We'll be prioritizing on-camera guests. Our first guest today is going to be Grant, then Usama. Look forward to you guys. Welcome to the My Agency Guy podcast today. My name is Stephen Pope. I am the founder of My Amazon Guy as well as My Agency Guy. In today's live AMA podcast, I'll be taking on guests to ask agency-based questions. A few Amazon questions will get snuck in there, I'm sure. But primarily, our focus on our conversation is about how to run an agency, that sells products and services on Amazon. So if you guys want to join us today, click on that Streamyard link at the top of the YouTube description, and you can come in and be a guest. So we've got a couple guests waiting for us. I'm going to bring on Grant. Grant and I have been chatting like crazy on LinkedIn, and he's been trying to get me on the Joe Rogan podcast and a bunch of other cool stuff. So that's why I wanted to start today with Grant. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Nice to finally meet you face to face.
Yeah, absolutely. So Grant, you've been on your own journey. Tell us a little bit about what you've got going on and maybe how I could help.
Yeah, well, I've been working in digital marketing for 15, 16 years. In the last 5 years, owning my own brand on Amazon and off Amazon. And in the last 6 months, we've launched our own Amazon agency in the UK.
Congrats. That's awesome.
That's going to be quite a small boutique agency at the moment. We're only 6 months old. But it's going quite well. But I've got some lots and lots of questions for you, as you know, from the past.
Let's do it. Wherever you're comfortable sharing publicly, hit me.
As you scaled your agency, and I know I've watched lots and lots of videos you've done over the years, so I know some of the answers. When you scale so rapidly, when you had like 100 users in 1 month or something, if I remember right.
Yes, that was a key moment.
Yeah, how do you control that in terms of infrastructure and communications, and what tools did you use? I know you use Slack it's one of them. Yep. How did you manage that process?
So when we brought in 100 interns in under 30 days, that was the biggest, hairiest, audacious goal I ever accomplished at MAG. On a Monday, I called up the recruitment team and I said, hey, we got a problem. We are growing more clients faster than we can serve. I have an idea and I've got a solution. Let's hire 100 interns in 30 days. And they probably left that call thinking I'm some crazy nut job CEO. 24 hours go by. I didn't see any movement. Tuesday, call them up. Hey guys, how are you doing on that 100 intern project? Crickets. I'm like, guys, this is the most important project we'll ever do at MAG. You must hire 100 interns. And by the way, you only got 29 days left. Wednesday, still nothing had happened. I was like, guys, what the heck is going on here? I felt like I was going to have to roll some heads. I thought I was going to have to like say, like do it myself. And I said, guys, if you guys don't jump on this urgently, we're not going to be able to be in business here in a couple months when things implode. By the end of day 3, 22 offers had gone out for internships. It was highly successful. There's a couple of keys to success that answers your question. Number one, I had an infrastructure in place to make that happen. Yes, we use Slack. We have Asana. We have thousands of SOPs, which we sell. And if you're an agency, we sell agency SOPs. If you're an Amazon brand, we also sell Amazon SOPs. We also have a brand manager playbook. We also have Success Academy to learn how to get started to sell on Amazon. So there's a ton of educational products, and my business's position has been educational focus from day one, right? So like first thing I did to get a client, made a LinkedIn post. 48 hours later, I signed my first client. By the way, that client is still with me 6.5 years later. And I did this through education, content production. The nice thing about being an educational agency is that you can train your own employees with the stuff you're posting on social media. You can train them with the videos you put on YouTube, the graphics you put on LinkedIn and Instagram and all that good stuff. Functionally, though, behind the scenes, we have trainers that are dedicated full-time to training. We have recruiters dedicated full-time to recruitment. Now, when you're a boutique, great, you're the recruiter, Grant. Great, you're also the trainer, Grant, and you're also the brand manager, and you're the brand director. So enjoy that. Right? So your goals and your numbers will be modest when you first start out. But one of the things that you can do to make that work is to set parameters, set goals, and make sure that there's never a time when you ever have to repeat yourself a second time. Which means if you train somebody, document that entire training process, because you're going to have to train somebody else at some point. And maybe it's not a one-to-one role, but 80% of that could be transferred over to the next training, and it makes it easier and easier. So when people start at MAG that first day, we do an introductory call, but then it's like, here's a pile of tasks. Good luck. We'll see you tomorrow. And we know based on how many of those tasks get done, whether the employee is going to work out. There have been times where a day one training took somebody 2.5 days and we fired them, right? Because like we have so much data and what works and what doesn't and culture fit. And so having that structure in place is super important. So Slack communications, I can't emphasize enough how strong our Slack community is. It's like the Borg in Star Trek. There are Slack messages spinning so fast that people can't keep up with them. And we don't expect everybody to read every single message. It's literally impossible. It would be like saying, hey, Grant, I want you to read every thread on Reddit, or, like literally that volume of content. So what we do, though, is that we repeat ourselves every 90 days in terms of the training sessions and the materials, right? So I told you not to repeat yourself, but repeat the training. Mm-hmm. And so we have routine quarterly conversations on every topic that's important. So we've identified there are 100 core topics, and every 90 days we have to get through every single one of those and keep repeating them. When we onboard a client, we have an Asana template. We click a button, and then boom, all these tasks get shot off, and the brand starts to receive service immediately. We're a Zapier low code, no code environment, and we zap from one location to the next location. We can accept a Slack invite faster than anybody I know, because we zap it into Slack. We have an entire community. They know that the second one of those comes in, the first person who's available grabs it. We do the same thing with contracts. We do the same thing with task generation. We have the ability to create tickets in Slack to go over to Asana. So there's a lot of systems behind this. When you're a boutique, here's how I would do it. Google Sheets. Have a Google Sheet with every single client you have a tab for every brand that you control, and list every single task that you're working on. And then with your team, make sure you go through the entire client load once every 2 or 3 days. And try to avoid stacking up any individual with more than 2.5 days of work. And you want to have them always having something to do, but if they have more than 2 days of work, what happens? Things break down. So I know I just kind of unloaded a bunch of sound bites there, but hit me with your next question.
No, I was really taking the 100 staff just seems incredibly daunting to me. And then I didn't understand the process you had in the back end in terms of SOPs to get those up to scratch
Yes.
quick enough to make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, it took 6 weeks, but we also hyper specialized. So take SEO, for example. I believe I'm the leading Amazon SEO agency. I believe I have more content on SEO than anybody. When you go to YouTube and you type in Amazon SEO, my video comes up 1, 2, or 3. Sometimes Neil Patel's video comes up before my content's better than his, but he's Neil Patel. And then structurally speaking, I was able to break up SEO into 20 mini divisions or 20 mini tasks. So those 20 interns, you do task 1 24/7 for 2 weeks. You do task 2 24/7 for 2 weeks. And then and they're a master at that one micro task now.
Right.
Okay. Now, obviously, we have to have project managers like moving it from position 1 to 2 to 3, and that, that's a whole different problem. But we tried hyper specialization with interns, highly successful. Why? Because it's dumbed down and it franchises it. It's not overwhelming. Because it's freaking overwhelming to sell on Amazon. It's overwhelming to run an agency. It's even more overwhelming to run an Amazon agency.
So essentially small chunks and then move on.
Correct. And make it as routine and uncomplicated as humanly possible.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Probably, but we've spoken so much over the last few months. I've probably asked you some questions already, but I can think.
That's okay. Well, thank you for coming on, Grant. I'm a big fan. I'm rooting for you. I hope you go all in and burn your other ships and make your agency rock. Europe is a huge starting ground for Amazon agencies right now. There is going to be a huge boom in Amazon agencies over in Europe this year and next year. So I hope you're one of them.
Yeah, I think it's what the US was 5-6 years ago. So.
Correct. I'm seeing the exact same trends of when I started over in the US.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Steve.
All right. Cheers, mate. I love Grant. That was good set of questions here. All right. So we got Usama. We're going to bring him in next. You've just started your own agency. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Steven. You have always been a great motivation for me. And today I've been connecting with you to ask you, like, so far I've only secured some clients using Upwork, but recently I've launched my own Amazon marketing agency.
Congrats.
But thank you so much. And we are currently struggling to land our first client on LinkedIn or outside the Upwork. So I want to ask you, like,
yeah.
I want to ask you, what is the single piece of advice you could offer me to land my first client and to scale my agency?
So content generation is the best way to land clients when you're first getting started. And it really structurally doesn't take a lot of effort to do, which is why I like it so much. I'm going to share my screen and so you can see this. There are 4 ways to get clients, and this is basically Alex Hormozy's quad system, and I've added my own flavor. And warm outreach, this is one-to-one people you know. So do you know any Amazon sellers yourself? If so, reach out to them. The second quad is content. This is the one that I think will be the most helpful to you based on what you said. And in here, you need to pick a topic area and hit it home on every social platform. Go deep on it, shoot videos, make graphics, make text posts, everything that you possibly can to build out on content. Now, you may be better at one form of content over another. You may be better at one platform over another. I want to tell you that my first client was from a LinkedIn post in 48 hours. So I did it 6 years ago. You could do it today. However, LinkedIn is inundated with a lot of selling, right? It's inundated with a huge community in Pakistan. And so you have high amounts of competition and they're hitting the DMs like crazy. So my suggestion is to be a little bit more casual in those conversations. So don't just go sell. In those DMs, 2 sentences. 1 sentence about them, 1 sentence about your solution. That's it. Don't tell them you're an agency. Don't tell them anything else. Just say, hey, I was looking at your Amazon listing and I noticed XYZ. have you thought about doing A, B, C, and leave it like that? And
Right.
and that's how I would do some work on LinkedIn. But LinkedIn is my second best social channel. YouTube is my strongest, and we're seeing incredible results with YouTube.
Thank you so much for your insights.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, sure. I will definitely try that.
Okay. All right. Let me know how it goes. Good luck on getting your next client.
Thank you so much, Steven, for your time.
All right. Cheers. We'll appreciate it. By the way, our previous two guests, we're going to kick you out of Streamyard to make room for others. Keep watching over on YouTube. You guys can add comments from there as well if you'd like. We're going to bring in Serge next. Where are you calling in from, Serge?
I'm calling from Moldova. It's a small country.
All right. Wonderful.
Yeah. You know where it is?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm over here in Atlanta on the other side of the world, though. So
nice. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. I've seen so many of your videos, so much knowledge, so much inspiration. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I love the passion.
About my background, I was a bit hesitant about joining this meeting because I consider that I'm at a very, very beginning level. I'm working as a freelancer right now on an individual level. And of course,
everybody starts somewhere. Everybody starts somewhere. Don't forget that.
Yeah. And I want to take it on another level. And what I wanted to ask you about is about the specific steps you would take if you were a freelancer, like with limited network. I've seen a lot of your videos where you describe the story of how you started agencies, the steps you took. But I wanted to know a bit maybe in more detail how you did it, how you performed it. And I probably struggle not so much even with the steps themselves, which to take, but more about the order of these steps. Like at which stage do you hire a team? When do you register a company? When do you believe you are ready to start an agency? Because I also consider that my knowledge is still a bit limited in some specific areas. And I understand that I need still to do improvement. But at the same time, I think to myself, maybe I should just take this leap of faith and just jump into it and see how it works and just adapt in the process. And what would you do? Like, do you believe I should be 100% prepared when I start an agency?
So I wasn't. I'll tell you that right now. When I started my agency, I do like I look at April 2nd, 2018 as the start of my agency. But for 6 years before that, I was doing consulting on the side as a freelancer. And so I was doing exactly what you're doing right now, right? I was a solopreneur. I was doing some stuff on the side just to earn some extra income. Now, are you a full-time freelancer at this point?
Yes. But I spent most of my time working as a freelancer and all of my free time learning to develop the knowledge.
Okay. So if you're full-time on freelancing, how long you been doing it for?
Actually, not a very long time, for I would say even less than half a year.
Okay. That's still, but you've been successful enough that you don't have any other income from what other than what you currently do freelancing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you ever want to go back to whatever you were doing before you started freelancing?
No, I think no.
Okay. Have you burned your ships? And that's a very unique phrase and question, but like, have you made it so it's impossible to go back?
Yeah, I think it's quite impossible to go back in my situation.
Okay. Then you've created what I call the inevitability clause, right? If it's inevitable that you're going to keep doing what you're doing, you have burned your ships successfully. I did not burn my ships for 90 days. And those 90 days in the beginning of when I was starting MAG, my agency, I was still interviewing for jobs for 90 days. And by the way, by the end of day 90, I looked at my bank account and I started counting all the revenue. And I had made $43,000 in the month of June in my like day 60 to 90. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, what the hell am I thinking? Of course I'm going to do this full time. This is the most money I've ever made in my whole life. $43,000 in a 30-day span. And that and 90 days prior to that, I had a $200,000 salary. And I know there's, cost of living differences and the way you charge and what you do, and you're in a very different model. But at the time, at $200,000 in my salary before I started MAG, I thought I had peaked. I thought that this was the best I was ever going to do in my life. And when I got laid off from that job, I had a 48-hour period where I was paralyzed. I was going out into the forest. I was looking up at the sun, and I was like, who the hell wants to hire a 30-year-old for $200,000? I couldn't answer that question. 48 hours later, I answered that question by making a LinkedIn post. And it turns out a lot of people wanted to hire me, and I wanted to hire me. I hired myself, but I didn't burn my ships for 90 days because I didn't want to run an agency. Agencies are so damn hard to run. They are incredibly difficult, right? You have to deal with people problems 24/7. You have to help people with their health issues, their mental problems, their blocks, their fathers are dying. I had an employee die on me last month, right? Like, and it's an incredibly difficult thing that you have to deal with. When you have to meet with the team that the person who died managed and announce to them that person has passed on, and then you say, please take the rest of your day off. Then you still have the 8 clients that they're working on, and then you have to go hash that out. It's incredibly difficult. And as difficult as it was for me, it was even more difficult for the husband of the person who passed, right? And I can only imagine what that would be like after sharing a bed with somebody for 23 years, and the next night, just suddenly they're not there anymore, right? And my heart goes out to people. I am not a people person, and I'm a super introvert, and I did not want to deal with people's problems. I resisted starting my agency. But eventually, the success of the agency was so overwhelming, I couldn't ignore it. The vehicle of working in the corporate world as a single job for me was good. But the vehicle I upgraded to when I started my own business was like changing from my Mazda 2008 to a Lambo. And it's totally different. And so you've already made a decision to burn your ships. You're ahead of where I was at that point. I might have had more experience when I started my agency. I had 10 years in the corporate track. I'd worked for Amazon companies all over the place. I had side hustle consulted for 25 different Amazon brands. All of those are facts. But you've made a decision to not go back. That is a huge decision. That's a pivotal moment in your life. So now that you've got the inevitability clause figured out, your next step is to decide how quickly you want to grow. If you are happy doing what you're currently doing, you may not have the motivation to change. So I'll ask you some questions. How many clients do you have right now?
3, but my contracts with them are sometimes very short, just limited, for example, to 1 listing creation. So, yeah.
Okay. So you've got 3 clients. How many do you feel like you can handle on your own?
I believe I can handle like up to 10, probably. It depends on what their request is. I believe you told that one person could handle up to 10. So I believe, I could do that as well.
Okay. So when should you hire your first employee then becomes when you get to 80%. When you get to 8 clients, I think you should hire your first employee. You could do it sooner, but definitely don't do it any later than that 8th client, because if you're at 10 and then you start to hire, you will be so overwhelmed, you'll probably throw the towel in. You'll lose a couple of clients from not responding fast enough. You'll have lots of challenges to deal with. So I would hire at least by the 8th employee. When I started my agency, I hired with only 1 client. And the reason I did that is because that client was so difficult. They're still a client today, by the way, but it was a supplement brand, 100 SKUs. They had Chinese hacking their UPCs. They were reusing UPCs. They had product listing bans. it was like a worst case scenario. I did not enjoy doing that catalog work. So I was hitting the phones in the 7th day thinking, how can I get out of this? And I hadn't burned my ships yet. And I still hired my first employee, right? That is how bad I didn't want to do template work for a supplements brand. Okay. So I made it. I may not have burned my ships as fast as you did, but I made a decision to delegate from day one. I also had a 3-month severance for my last job. I had the capital. It was easy for me to do. And then because I was able to delegate that template work, I then spent my time doing sales, and I went out and found clients, and I built content, and I called lots of people. And so that's really where I went from there. Whether you make an LLC or a legal entity at your stage, I think doesn't matter. I think you could make that decision between now and the next year. I don't think there's any rush. Whenever you get around to it would be fine. But having said that, you've already told me you have an inevitability clause that you're going to keep doing this. So you don't really have a downside to getting that LLC or legal entity built wherever you'd like. Having a separate bank account so you can track your expenses, it helps a little bit. And then you pull out your salaries and whatnot. So once you start paying for employees, that business setup, it does help quite a bit. I had my business set up day one because I was selling on Amazon, and I used the same legal entity that I was using in my Amazon account for my agency. In retrospect, I wouldn't do that. I would have a separate entity for every business entity. But at the time, it worked out very well. For 2 years, it worked out very well. And then it got a little dicey, and then I was trying to figure out how profitable I was, and the P&Ls were starting to merge and challenges. I wouldn't recommend it. So the other thing is if you have a challenge about a particular area of your business. For me, I didn't want to do template work. For you, it might be sales. For you, it might be customer interaction or customer service or something. Whatever it is that you hate doing, that's the first thing you should delegate and hire for.
For me, it's everything connected to images and video. I'm very bad at editing. And that actually was one of my questions.
Getting a designer for you would be perfect sense.
Yeah.
And then you're just the general contractor at this point. You're the guy that goes and collects everything and puts it together, but you delegate that out. So that would be a really good hire for you, probably even now. Because then once you start getting a portfolio built and you're showing off all these designs, you're showing off somebody else's work, but it's under your representation. Do you have a website yet?
Not yet.
That I would prioritize. Because once you have a website, then you get a domain name and your email, and it's all under the same domain. People take you 8 times more seriously when they see surge@brandname.com. So I would highly recommend that. Are you serving a particular market? Have you picked a niche or a specialty?
Yeah, I tried to niche down, but I want to do like full listing optimization, full catalog management, and things like this, not to immerse in troubleshooting. I believe it's too complicated. To focus more on CEO, optimization, listing optimization, catalog management, and PPC probably at first stages, but maybe even later PPC to get established in this CEO niche, listing optimization. Do you think it's wise to niche down to CEO, listing optimization, or is better to start wider with PPC as well?
Depends on what you're better at, right? So if you're a better general contractor, if you're a better person who can get all of these resources collected, then go full service from day one. If you're really good at design or really good at PPC, then focus on that, right? And you've already indicated design's a little weaker for you, so maybe you're more of a technical person and PPC is easier for you than going that route. The other thing is you may be a highly detailed person and shy, and you may struggle sharing your story because you don't feel like it's perfect and you don't want people to compare. And I'm here to tell you, there's a lot of people out there that can't afford me that will hire you. There's a lot of people out there that would rather hire you because they get access to the technical person versus hiring my system. I don't get on client calls. Some people won't like that. They would rather talk to the founder. the conversion rate of your sales process will be somewhere between 7 and 10% higher because you're a founder. My conversion rate when I was doing sales was 7 to 10% higher than my current sales team. But I now have 30 salespeople. And so minus the 7%, I still have 26% close rates. I'm okay with that because it's a bigger vehicle. It's leverage, right? But when you first start out, your conversion rate will be higher. And you're going to hit an audience that will appreciate your story. So the more you share, the more trust you build, the more clients you'll attract, even if it's part of your journey, right? Like, don't make stuff up. Don't embellish. Just tell it how it is. Hey, today I worked on a listing. Here are the results. Here was the challenge. Here's my solution. You know, if you guys like this, DM me. I'll help you too. But you need that website. Make your LinkedIn page a landing page. Make sure it's easy to book calls with you. Make sure it's easy to find your services, your prices, and market it like a landing page. You focus on that before the website. That's actually even more important. Make sure you've got a Calendly integration and you've upgraded your LinkedIn so you reflect all of these links and connections.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely will.
All right, you got a bunch to work on. And any last question to end on, or are you good?
I think, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I need to process all of this.
A lot.
Probably I will have much more. I will have definitely much more questions. Yeah, but now I just need to process all of this.
And the best thing you can do is just to take action. Even if you get it
Absolutely.
wrong, you can pivot, right?
Yeah.
All right, Serge, thanks for coming on. Thanks for being a guest of
Thank you
My
very much
Agency
for your
Guy.
time. I absolutely appreciate it.
You're very welcome. So today we're taking live guests. If you guys want to join us in the Streamyard. I got a couple guests in queue. We're going to go next to John Aspinall, who is a MAG graduate. Now he's with PickFu. Welcome to our Agency Guy show, John.
I'm actually an agency owner now, Steven, so I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
How can I bootstrap my agency from $1? How can I keep... I'm just kidding. How are you? How have you been?
I'm doing good. It's good to see you. I missed your humor, my friend.
Good to see you as well. I have a lot of notes here from a lot of these wonderful agency owners over here. But, you know, Alex Hormozi, you know, that's my first note here. You pull up to Alex Hormozi's chart. I said, my note here says,
love that chart.
My note here says, You know why it says Because I'm just wondering who turned you on to Alex.
Because John is a big Alex Hormozi fan and shoved his content down my throat until I consumed it and read all his books and then adopted it. That's why.
We'll check that one off. Perfect. But yeah, no, really just came on to say hi to you and empower any other agency owner with PickFu. And I know you're a big fan of PickFu as well, but I think what I'm hearing a lot from these agency owners that are coming on, especially with Serge, right? Serge, who was just on, was talking about, you know, focusing on optimization. You know, something that I would tell Serge is work smarter, not harder, right? Is that if you're bootstrapping it and you're getting a designer, you want to make sure that the output that they're giving is quality and it's going to keep the client around. Because Steven, what's a 5-letter word for pain with an agency? Starts with C.
I don't even know that word. What word am I looking for?
It's churn.
Churn. Okay. I don't know that word still.
churn, right? So that's a big, I think that's a big pain point for a lot of agencies. Like, what are your thoughts when you're up and coming as an agency? Maybe not you, but what you've seen, like.
Well, it's a high churn industry, right? And my Amazon guy has high churn. That's just part of the market. We work with SMB. Small businesses go out of a business all the time, right? Their finances go upside down. They overinvest in stock. They hire the wrong people. They go a different direction. They build too many variations. All kinds of reasons Amazon brands fail. And so in our space, it's a very immature market. It's starting to mature. But there's not a big conglomerate of Amazon agencies. It's very fractured. There's a lot of freelancing, boutique agencies, etc. So we do use PickFu at My Amazon Guy. I ran a PickFu yesterday because I wanted to A/B test to convince a brand that they needed to change their main image, and so it becomes easier to convince clients at an agency to go west when you just show them the data. Be like, instead of just saying, hey, I think this is better, just say, hey, by the way, I made you a new image and here's an A/B test poll result that shows exactly that. Right. Yeah. And John, if you want to, pull up a poll and give yourself a quick plug, I know you're going to give us a freebie today. And so others might appreciate that.
I'm giving a freebie? I don't
I thought you were. No,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Ali, not yet. Not yet. Put it away. Not yet. So 2 more things, and I won't take up a lot of time, right?
Okay.
So you talked about it's good to go for a .com, right, for the website to build it out as an agency, but then you pivoted real quick, and then you said LinkedIn, and I've never
Yes.
used LinkedIn. I'm very new to it, but I think I love LinkedIn, but I think that when you're LinkedIn,
are you gonna tell everybody I taught you everything you know about starting your LinkedIn? Can we at least get that on the record?
Fifth Amendment. So what I think also is good for PickFu is that your messaging that you want to make sure it resonates with people, prospects that you're working out with on LinkedIn, because people think PickFu A/B test Amazon. PickFu is everything under the sun. You can PickFu test your banner on LinkedIn, your company logo, to make sure that everything's resonating, because just like melatonin gummies is a sea of purple on the SERP, AZ something and the color orange is the equivalent in the Amazon agency space. Everyone's an AZ something. Everyone has orange, right? But
Yep.
two things before I hop and give away the freebie, right? I'll share my screen real quick. I just wanted to show.
And I have to bring it up. Here we go.
Show this really quickly. I just want to show people how easy it is to PickFu. This is a poll builder. It's so easy. You just go to the question here. If you were shopping on Amazon, which would you rather buy? You throw in your different options, different things here. Steven, a really cool thing that you haven't probably done yourself is a click test, right? So what you can do is, let me stop sharing over here. Pull me off. What you can do is upload, if you're in the product iteration, if you don't know what's going to work out, or if you have a client that, how do they stand out on the SERP? You could take a snapshot of the SERP. Forget about A, B, this, that. Take a snapshot of the SERP and do a click test. And it's going to give you a heat map test to say where is the customer clicking, right? Where are they gravitating towards? And then you could drill down a little bit further and say, okay, they're all going to this one. Now let's get a little bit more granular, because I came from Mag and Sales and it was ABC, always be closing. But Steven, it's evolved. It's not ABC anymore.
No, what is it?
It's ABT.
Always be testing.
Always be testing.
All right. I love it.
That's a new show.
All right.
Anyway,
so hit us with your freebie.
Email me, Ali. Hit it.
So you can email John at Aspinall@PickFu.com. What are you gonna give them?
Free credits to try it on PickFu. So probably about 100. If I'm feeling nice, a little bit more. Depends how quickly you email me. But at least $100 of PickFu credits for you to play with PickFu, to understand the value prop behind it. And I think if you're an agency right now that's not using PickFu, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. You're leaving a lot of clients on the table. You're leaving a lot of churn potential on the table. Yeah. Use the affiliate link too. We love that.
And when you email John, mention that you saw it on this podcast, so I get a little kickback. Thank you.
100%. And if you do, you get $101 in credit from it.
There you go.
So, but thanks for having me, Steven. Appreciate it.
No problem. We are big fans of PickFu, and obviously I'm a huge fan of John Aspinall, and he worked at My Amazon Guy for 2 years. John crushed it, added hundreds of clients to Mag, and so he knows what he's talking about. Great guy to follow on LinkedIn if you want to learn CTR. He is the CTR guru today. All right. So we got 3 guests behind the scenes. I think Mason is next. Hey, Mason, how are you doing?
I'm good. Hey, I just started following you actually a couple weeks ago. So props to your
welcome
LinkedIn.
To the fold.
Yeah, props to your LinkedIn content. It's working. Because if I'm ever selling on Amazon, I know who to go to.
I appreciate that.
I'm actually been in the digital marketing world for a long time now, and I've really started to focus on HubSpot and being a HubSpot consultant. And so I'm a freelancer now, and I'm starting to get to my bandwidth.
We use HubSpot, by the way.
Well, hey, if you need help, let me know. No, but I'm getting to kind of a bandwidth by myself, and I want to continue to spread my knowledge and continue to grow and help clients, right? So agency seems like the next best step.
Okay, so you're solopreneur today. How many clients you at?
On a given month, 10 to 15.
All right, so yeah, you're at peak. Yeah, as soon as you get to that 10 mark, it gets tricky.
Yeah, yeah, and I have past clients coming back and saying, "Hey, can we do a one-off project?" And so,
are you sending any work away? Because if you're at that stage, it's like you got to hire.
I don't want to. I've always kind of grown up to like, kill what you eat or whatever that saying is.
Yeah.
Because
you eat what you kill.
Yeah. I've always been a hustler. I started 15, actually going to Walmart clearance and flipping on Amazon.
Retail arbitrage. That is how almost everybody I know got started back in the day.
Yeah. And then ads came along and websites and So anyways, been a hustler. What point do I try and convince my freelance clients to follow me to an agency model?
Well, I mean, what's your typical retainer size? Just average.
As a freelancer?
Yeah. Tell me about your model? Like, do you charge by the hour? Do you charge
90% of my clients are hourly?
Okay.
And it could range from 70 to 95 an hour.
Got it. So what do you typically make per client per month? What's your MRR on average?
I have no solid numbers yet on that, but I would say around 5 to 6, 7,000.
Okay. So if you've got 10 to 14 clients and you're making 5 to 7,000 a piece, you're crushing it. Congratulations.
Best money I've made as a 23-year-old, but
dude, you're crushing it at 23. Absolutely crushing it. So, couple of options, right? One, change your model, or two, just charge more. Of the two, one of those is much easier than the other, charging more. Right. So that would be if you just want to structurally make more money and you don't want the hassle of managing people because it makes you want to throw up to think about.
Yeah.
That's the easiest solution. Just charge more. And if past clients are coming back and be like, hey, here's my new rate. It's $100 an hour. It's 120. And you just keep inching it upward until you hit capacity. And then the second where you're hungry and you don't have enough to do, okay, we're running a sale this month, you know, or whatever.
As I think I'm at the mindset now, like I do want to do an agency and switch to being a full-time agency.
So what's preventing you from hiring a virtual assistant or a first hire?
Just the guts to do it, and the first time doing it.
Have you ever managed somebody before?
I have. I've been in a director role before freelancing, director of digital marketing.
So what did you hate about it that makes you not have the guts to do it?
A couple of things is scouting for good talent. I was at a big enough company where applications would come in, and I'm good at.
You were reactive.
Correct. And another thing is this is new money to me. I've been making this money for very long. And so, I guess I'm in the mindset of I could lose it all tomorrow. And if I hire someone and commit, I don't want to let them down or anything like that. That was my mindset. I think I'm an employee kind of mindset, not thinking business owner. How do I scale it? Mm-hmm. I think if I switch it to an agency, I know I'm going to have to build a team and a good team to help.
Have you ever fired somebody before?
I have in person too. So that's different than doing it through a video.
How did it make you feel?
It sucks. Absolutely sucks. It's probably one of the worst parts of being a management role or a director role. Definitely.
So if you hired an employee and it didn't work out, what would you do?
It's on to the next one.
You'd fire them and then hire another one, right?
Absolutely. I know. Yeah.
Wait. Who's going to be the last person that works for your company?
The owner, me.
You.
Yeah.
You're the only person that will outlive everybody.
Yeah.
You need to. So when you talk about the butterflies, right? Like what I'm getting from you is high fear, anxiety, and you're probably super detailed. You're probably a defensive dude who can see 80 ways it won't work, and so I am usually very surprised by people like you succeeding as well as they have, because your referrals must just be incredible, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. I'm very high on my product, very high on my service.
Yes.
I'm super confident, and
Yep. You over deliver probably.
100%. 100%.
And so your model, it will work indefinitely. If you kept doing what you're doing, I can tell you right now, you're going to exist 3 years from now. You're going to exist 10 years from now.
Yeah.
So the choice you have to make is, are you willing to delegate? Right? Because somebody who is high detailed has a strong apprehension to delegate. They don't think generally, and I'm roping you in here and making assumptions based on a 10-minute conversation. So I could get this one wrong. I'm going to be clear about that.
Yeah.
But like, if you think or feel that others can't meet your caliber or level of delivery, you won't give them work. You'll struggle with it. If you're an extrovert who seeks or needs social attention and cares what other people think, you will struggle in the delivery of firing somebody because you care about them and you're worried about them, right? So you're like, oh, I could lose it tomorrow and I don't want to let them down, right? Because you're team centric. So if either of those applied to you, that can be a roadblock for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a big fan of hiring out of the Philippines. And if you get an assistant, just like think executive assistant, think how you could get somebody to take off your plate some day-to-day tasks to help you get started, you will make more money, right? It's about leverage. It's about the vehicle that you're in, right? So the choice to burn your ships applies here too. You have to burn your ship of being a solopreneur and becoming an agency, right? Do you have a website?
Very first draft of a website,
Okay.
but it's live with an offer and a product.
And does your LinkedIn is it a landing page at this point?
Again, first draft, working on it daily, trying to improve it daily. Just started posting content and building that content because I know it's a long game. And I'm assuming I'm probably gonna have to utilize my referrals and those warm leads to.
All right, so I'm gonna pull up your LinkedIn. I just found it. All right, so let's take a look at this.
Do you like
this is you, right?
Like the naming convention?
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so your eyes almost look like they're closed in your main image shot. Get rid of the background and retake a photo and open your eyes 25% more. Okay, because right now your eyes look closed. The cover photo, your HubSpot expert is better than nothing. But you want to add some branding in here, right? What is the most recognizable symbol in your entire vertical? It's the HubSpot logo, right?
Yeah.
So make sure you have that included as part of your branding to leverage it, or something that speaks to HubSpot, right? What kind of HubSpot expert are you, right? So if we go over to my profile here and we look at it, I put, and apparently I'm looking at the live now we've got Inception going on.
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah.
Right? But if you were to look at my profile, I've got some Amazon boxes up here, and then I've got get your product seen and sold on Amazon.
Yeah.
So the Amazon boxes are basically my HubSpot logo version on LinkedIn. So anybody that wants to get better at LinkedIn, this is good advice. Spend a lot of time on your cover photo and your profile photo, get those perfect. Next step, this, right? Founder at your HubSpot expert. So that's literally your company name. That wasn't apparent when I looked at your cover photo, right? But that's literally your company name. Make sure you email clients from your HubSpotExpert.com, which, by the way, I love your name because I'm my Amazon guy, right? So it's like
I got the inspiration from you. I've researched your background and how you started it. They reference you as your Amazon guy. I get called the HubSpot expert, and so it made sense.
I love that.
Some context too. Is I understand that I'm a very technical guy and a back-end guy, and definitely need someone. My weakness is branding and the design, and so I've actually brought in someone to help me actually partner in the agency with me to really be that front face branding consultant and understand the positioning and sales funnels. as
You
well.
definitely have the revenue to justify that. No question.
Yeah.
So a couple other tips I'll give you on the LinkedIn, add a featured section. So these sections right here, this showcases some of my highest quality work. We got really high production videos. I have the word top Amazon agency. Even if somebody doesn't click on that article, it's, subliminally they think, oh, I'm a top Amazon agency. Okay. I also have a service section, and you can order directly off these links, book a coaching call. I've got another YouTube video where I give away some free tips, full service page, you name it, right? So add these sections in here. Be sure to also get your LinkedIn Premium activated. That'll get you seen by more people. You also can have a link for visit my website and all of that added in here. So those would be other really good things. What is the number one problem that your clientele faces?
The knowledge of what HubSpot's capable of. They'll have business needs, right? And then some of them just buy enterprise, spend thousands of dollars on a HubSpot package, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know it could do this X, Y, and Z." And so I go in and say, "Hey, based on your business needs, here's how to utilize HubSpot 100%."
So knowledge should be point one. What do your clients buy on? Like, what problem do you solve?
Operations efficiency of their back end, just kind of their back end operations of whether it's marketing or their sales team.
Okay. And what is the result of your work?
Essentially increased revenue, increased efficiency of whether it's getting more, the sales team picking up the phone more, or more touch points in the customer journey. And again, revenue and end of day sales.
So the story that you just told needs to be all over your LinkedIn, needs to be in all of your content, right? And ask all of your current customers what their top problems are, the top problems that you solved for them previously that you may have documented, and the problems they currently have, or the problems that you think they're eventually going to have. Then make content about those problems and the solutions that you offer nonstop. Okay. Every agency ever can replicate what we just did. While Mason might be a unique guest today talking about being a HubSpot agency, any Amazon agency listening to this, everything that we just talked about can be cross-applied. You need to understand your ideal customer profile and speak to them, optimizing the verticals in which you get in contact with them, right? So Mason's not a marketer. He admitted that. Mason is the technical expert behind the scenes giving technical know-how, and he loves that space. And he's clearly got good referrals, because how in the world do you get to that level and that charge unless you have strong referrals? So when you go out and start marketing, I got some bad news for you. You're going to be overwhelmed within weeks because you haven't gone to market yet and you're already basically at capacity. Yeah. So you need to make the decision of one of two things. Either you're going the Josh Braun route and you're just going to charge a hell of a lot more money and you're going to keep it small, or you have to hire an employee now. And you could hire a project manager, you could hire a virtual assistant, you could hire somebody to do your billing, you could hire all kinds of things you could hire. And I would recommend checking out the Philippines for virtual assistant hiring, onlinejobs.ph. Great platform to do those things.
Awesome. My last question I have, and this is incredibly insightful. Starting an agency, knowing I have a strong referral background and connections in the HubSpot space, my agency, whether my face is on it or not, probably doesn't have the best reputation yet. When you started your agency, did you give out free value, not educational pieces, but like maybe free audits,
yes,
things like that? Okay.
Correct.
So that's the route I want to go down to reel them in, take on a date.
So that would be your try before you buy, right?
Yeah.
And getting testimonials from your current clientele and then updating your profile to showcase like how they can try before they buy with you. But here's the best thing. So when I get on sales calls with people that have been following me, just like you followed me and ended up here today, right? I led with value. You saw my post. You're like, I want more of this. And then you showed up. Yeah. That's what you want your base to do, right? So you only got 390 followers on LinkedIn today.
Yeah.
That means your homework is go add 100 connections every week forever until you die.
Okay.
That means make a LinkedIn post every single day. And here's the thing. My wife, I've been trying to convince my wife to start making posts and talking about how crazy it is to be married to a CEO. And I in my mind, I have like this vision of how popular she's going to be because there's nobody on LinkedIn who talks about being married to a crazy CEO. And I thought she'd be the first and it would be so fun. And she's like, nobody's going to care about this. And I'm like, tell you what, you make one post. If it doesn't get 50 likes, then I will never bring this up again. First post. She has like 100 followers or whatever, 50 likes. Why? Because content, when it's good, will go viral, even when you don't have connections.
Absolutely. Now it's the last question because you sparked a question. As far as like adding people and getting connected with people on LinkedIn, is there a target? Are you targeting your audience? Are you targeting?
Yes.
Because
Yep. So what I would do if I were you is I would create some Boolean operators. The keyword HubSpot will get you through this week, no problem. Right?
Yes.
So you could type in HubSpot into the search, and then after you've hit every one of those, then you could be like HubSpot in my city, HubSpot in that are second or third connections, and hit all those. You're like 3 months out before you exhaust all that, and then after that, you'll have to get more creative with the Booleans. And you know what kind of businesses use HubSpot? Probably agencies.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the issues is I'm getting a lot of HubSpot consultants following me, which is fine.
That is fine because guess what? You need to make a hire.
True. That's a great point. But going after actual consumers and customers, future customers, is the goal. But I appreciate your time and the value you've added.
Got to do both. When you run an agency, you got people problems on the left, hiring and firing. You got people problems on the right, facing your customer. And then you got people problems in the mirror because you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, you got this.
It's a battle. It's an uphill battle. Love it. All right. Yeah. I appreciate your time.
So be prepared to overcome your fears. You may want to partner with a high drive person who will help you with marketing, who will help get you out there. You don't have to do that. I'm just saying consider it because you need somebody that has no fear. And by the way, the thing you won't like about that person is you're going to be following them around, cleaning up all of their messes, because somebody without fear makes a lot of messes. But right now you could use a few messes because you're so tidy and everything is good and going well. The only way you're going to grow and get out of your box is if you make you got to make some omelets and crack some eggs.
Yeah. We're in park right now. We need to start driving. So whether we make mistakes or not, fix them later.
All right, awesome. Mason, great having you on. It was good to unpack that. You were a great guest. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, perfect. All right, so we're going to bring in Ryan next, Ryan's next one on the list. How you doing, Ryan?
Hey, Steven. Good to chat to you again. Thanks for bringing me in.
My pleasure. How can I help today?
Yes, just got some operational questions. So just quite a few here. I'll just run through, but just start off. What are the first things that you guys normally focus on when you bring in a new client?
We always try and get value done in the first week. So the main image, always the first thing we focus on every single time. And the SEO and the PPC, those three things. You can do more value add in the first week on those three things than anywhere else. Most agencies default to the PPC, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they kind of overlook the designs a little bit too much, and they don't even start the SEO for weeks. So I run a master keyword list. We do a bunch of SEO work. We implement it into the A+ content, the search terms field, the titles, and then we deliver that master keyword list in under 48 hours to our clients. And that adds a lot of value because they're like, holy crap, how'd you pull this off? This thing is gigantic. And it has basically the roadmap for the year. And that's like, the client needs to be impressed by day 7 or the chances of them continuing past day 90 is low.
Sure. Okay. And with that, would you normally want to get a list from them of what, say, product SKUs to focus on, or do you go into their account, look and see what you think would work best?
So I believe in actioning everything, but depending on the retainer size or the client's objectives, you may prioritize or focus accordingly, right? Yeah. So having having the ability to know, like, if I pull this lever, it'll be the fastest and easiest thing to do. I always start with fast, easy, and large, right? Go for the watermelons. Picking up a watermelon is much easier than climbing the tree to get the apple.
Yeah.
So the main image is the watermelon. Every single time the main image is the watermelon. But if you are good at one particular thing and that is your jam and you're just exceptional at it, then by all means start there, right? If that's like what you want to do on the kickoff call, by all means start there. I also give my clients an onboarding survey where I ask them in detail lots of questions. I ask them questions such as, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being profit at the cost of growth and 10 being growth at the cost of profit, what's your number? Because I know based on how they answer that question, what I can get away with. If they say 10, yes, I'm going to be like, okay, here we go, 30% tacos, right? Because they want growth. But if they say 1 profit, I'm like, oh boy, if I even spend more than 4% tacos, I know I'm going to hear about it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how I gauge what I can get away with and where I'm going to add the most value is by asking discovery questions. I want to make sure I understand their pain, like what, there's a lot of basic pain questions that are not very good, but our starting point questions like what keeps you up at night? And, if you don't hire me, what will you do instead?
Sure.
And those are like Sandler 101 sales funnel questions. You can get a lot deeper and understand where they're coming from, and what do you want to do with Amazon? Where do you want to take the brand? And some of those questions will have a very different response depending on who answers those.
Okay. Got you. Cool. And then, so how would you normally track like the different nuances of your account? So if in the team you have a lot of different categories, so you've got sporting and outdoors, home and kitchen, each one has their own nuances to them. How do you track those so that the team members know exactly what's going on in each account?
Okay. So you have to have really good project management. And I'll give you an organizational hack that almost nobody does this, but we do at MAG. When we build out a Google Doc for each brand, we add the newest notes on the top. So if you have employees coming and going, no problem. Why? Because they go back to the Google Doc and they can see exactly what happened recently, all the meeting notes, all of the actions, all of the features, bullet points down, and they can go back in time as far down as they want. Oh, yes, there was a specific thing that we were talking about 4 weeks ago. No problem. Let me just scroll down just a tiny bit. Super easy to find. A lot of agencies try and add notes at the bottom, and then you have to scroll all the way down. It's super annoying. A lot of agencies will do one note doc per meeting. Well, then you got a folder of 17 note docs, and where the frick do you go? I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Asana or project management software is very helpful, but often hard to navigate to old tasks. So that's why I like a single Google Doc notating everything that happens to a brand 24/7.
Sure. Okay. And then where do you store those Google Docs? Do you have like a spreadsheet for the team with all the different accounts and then just links to those? Or?
So I'll have a super drive of all information and I'll have a super drive of all client stuff. Right. So one subfolder per client. I'll have separate folders. Here's a folder for marketing. Here's a folder for sales. And I segment everything out, and certain people don't need access to the marketing, but everybody needs access to the info folder. Everybody needs access to the client folder or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then you can save all information about that one client in one folder, one place. All of their graphics are in one place. All of their if you don't ask for this yet, you need to get a brand guideline from the clients that you serve, right? So we have a list of questions to help build a brand guideline because almost nobody has a brand guideline built for their best practices. We need to know their hashtag color codes. We need to know what we can do. Who's their customer avatar? If we're selling a product, who is such a grand, I use this all the time. It's in a bunch of my videos. It's super memorable, but also really silly. But if I ask, who is the customer avatar for a mail order Russian bride? The answer is a 3-time divorced truck driver. And that's incredibly specific, right?
Yeah.
The second I say 3-time divorced truck driver, you have a vivid image in your head. You know exactly what you're putting on that marketing material. But if I say, okay, I've got a toothbrush and I say, who's your customer target? And the brand comes back and says, anybody with teeth. I will say, no, it's not, right? Is it a unicorn toothbrush? Because if it's a unicorn toothbrush, my 5-year-old daughter, she is the target demographic, right? is it a sensitive toothbrush? Because then I'm going to sell that to 65-year-olds who have dentures and root canals and crowns in their mouth, right? So you have to understand the customer avatar for the brand, and you have to document it and keep it all straight. But if you're worried about your team treating the sports variation parentage the same way that you treat the toy one or the consumable one, it can be problematic, right? That's why you need somebody strategic, wise, such as yourself, QAing stuff, right? What you don't want to have happen is the Amazon specialist, the tactical person doing direct delivery to the client. You want to have the strategist doing the delivery to the client, doing the QA and the delivery.
Yes.
And that may help with the breakdown.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Definitely going to implement some of those. Similar lines. So with brand managers, anyone who's over the account, so that's strategic person, do you give them like a guideline to follow on what they must do in the accounts to grow them? We're looking at bringing on our first brand manager, and just would like some pointers in that front.
So we absolutely give guidelines and procedures and all that stuff. So we give out a brand manager playbook. And by the way, I sell these, and we have a special offer today. If anybody purchases our agency SOPs by midnight tonight, we will throw in our brand manager playbook, what I'm about to show you. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little ad with you. Okay, so this playbook will go through everything that you can need to possibly run an Amazon brand, and all of the growth opportunities, roadmaps, decision clarity, like how the particular thing will work, how to audit an account, how to choose what things to use, what tech pieces to use. So we're selling this for $297. Any agency ever could come in, buy this playbook, give it to their team. Here's like a fast example of like how specific it goes, and it shows all the strategies and the info and the criteria and the actions to take. And here's all the video trainings and all that good stuff. And you know, we've had a lot of success with this playbook. We actually just created a certificate as well, so we can quiz people on their knowledge of the playbook. So that way, when a client signs up and they see me make a YouTube video and, you know, why haven't you done that yet on my account? We make sure that never happens, because that is the worst thing to happen, right? Especially when you're an educator. So we made these agency operations SOPs. We're selling these for $3,500. If you guys buy that today, we'll throw in this $300 brand manager playbook. And you can find all the access to this by going to myamazonguy.com, clicking on the SOPs drop down, and you can see agency SOPs, purchase that, and we'll throw in the brand manager playbook. Brand manager playbook is a brand new piece of information, by the way, everybody. And we just released that a couple weeks ago. All right. So I forgot your initial tie-in that prompted me to do my little ad spot there. Remind me.
No, it was exactly that. Just about what you give your brand managers so that they can
go
into
I give
the accounts
them,
and know what to do to grow them. So I think that answers it pretty well.
Yeah. So you can, everybody that wants to purchase those, the agency program, myguy.agency, and then the brand manager playbook, you can go over to myamazonguy.com and click on the playbook from the dropdown. We have a dedicated FBA Seller Life link. I'll put in the chat here as well, if you want to go direct over there to learn information about it. Our marketing team that's watching this, we should probably create a dedicated special page showing the limited time offer, but we're probably a little too late to do that since it's a one-day offer. All right, so we give everybody the brand manager playbook. We tell them follow these SOPs. We constantly update the SOPs. If there's a breakdown, we get a client complaint, we go back to the SOP. Did the SOP address this? If it's in there, boom, it's you. It's not us. It's you, brand manager, that messed this up. Follow the SOP, and we'll give more training. Or if it's not in the SOP and we're like, well, this is a new scenario, should we add this to the SOP, or is this a one-off? If it's a two-off, we're going to add it to the SOP and address it. If it's a one-off, we'll just put it in the brand's Google Doc notes and go from there.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. And then one last one from me on content. So how much content should we be producing per week and across all the different channels? So LinkedIn, YouTube, etc.
As much as you possibly can. right? So set a goal for how much you possibly can, and use and I have dedicated graphic designers to the social media team. I have dedicated social media specialists. 2 of them are on the back scene with me right now in our Streamyard, making sure that we have everything going to the right place at the right time and scheduling it. Ryan, remind me the size of your team.
Our team at the moment, we're about 9 employees. So.
9 employees. So you probably are going to do the bulk of the content generation yourself as an owner, unless you have somebody else that's going to be the face of the company or marketing it. But having your designer and saying, hey, I need 10 graphics, and here are the 10 graphic specs, and then you post 1 graphic a day on LinkedIn. If you're not at that level yet, if what I just said seems a little out of reach, then just do text-based posts. And anybody can do those, right? So like write down the top 10 problems your clients have, and then make 10 pieces of content for each of those problems, and then rotate through all 10 problems. And then now that's 100 pieces of content.
Got you. Okay. And then on the LinkedIn side, so you said post every day. Is that
Every day.
Is that the best way to do it? Because I've seen a couple of places, they say sometimes 3 posts a week, 5 posts a week. That sometimes if you post in too much, then you get fewer impressions.
The people who say don't post every day are small. The people who are posting every single day are big, or are going to be big, right? So think of Alex Hormozi, Gary Vee, Stephen Pope, right? Like I want to be in that list of names someday, right? And so you have to be frequently communicating and posting as much as possible, because the consumer of your content is not going in there very often, right? Like an Amazon seller might log into LinkedIn twice a year. So if you get the fresh content when they log in that specific day, you're going to be very, very happy, right?
Yeah.
Another person, Josh Braun, that dude posts the same content every 90 days. Every single thing he posts is a repost from 90 days ago. Every single thing. There's like nothing new on Josh Braun's content feed, like ever. And I've seen it all, like, but I still follow him, so there's a way that, like, if you create an avid base, just like I assume you're an avid follower of me, does me posting too much piss you off? No, of course not. Right? In fact, you're like, how do I get more? Right? Yeah. Right. And so if you create that cult following yourself, people are going to want to beg to see your stuff. They're going to click the alert button. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, I don't really know what I want to do today. I'm putting around, and I'm going to go into social media to figure out what I want to do today. And then they see your posts every single day. They're going to crave it. They're going to want to go to it. And so that content is what built my $20 million agency. So I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah. Okay. And then how many gives would you say to asks in LinkedIn posts?
I honestly never think about that, right? I think I just do whatever is natural. I lead with value, and I do know what the best practices claim to be, and it's like 1 ask for every 10 gives. That would be fine, but like I don't think you need to structurally calculate stuff like that. Like, just be a human giving value with real stories, right? And wherever your story is at, and sharing, like, hey, today I'm 9 clients and we help brands do XYZ. Here's what I came across today. Here's my plan for the future. I want to be the next My Amazon guy. I'm going to be 400 clients in 4 years. You just wait. I'm the greatest. And right now I'm small, but I'm going to get big, and here's how I'm going to do it. People love that journey stuff. My first client that signed with me off a LinkedIn post, part of me wonders if they're just with me because they're so proud of my success. Right? Like I know I add value to that account still, but part of me wonders, like, are they just with me because they just want to be part of the journey? And I think some brands are. They're like, I followed him on YouTube. I watched 20 of his videos, and then I signed with him, and I had the same experience I had on his YouTube videos that I have in real life or on my Amazon brand. And by the way, prioritize YouTube over LinkedIn. No question.
Okay. All right. Cool. Sounds good. And then on that YouTube side, so you said as much content as possible. Just with YouTube Shorts, should we be creating different content for the shorts, or just like taking sections out of the longer form content for those?
I am not a shorts guy. I'm trying to be one, but I'm not, right? And so I got to 20 million without doing shorts. So you don't have to, but maybe you're good at it. Maybe your shorts will just beat mine for all I know. Like you might just be natural at it. But I am here's my strategy. Customer asks me a question. I shoot a 5-minute video every single time. No matter what question it is, no matter how niche it is, I shoot a video. And that strategy works. Why? Because if one customer asks that question, there's 100 others that are thinking it. Whether they ask it or not, they've thought it at some point.
Yes.
May not be my current 100 customers, but there's 100 customers out there that will buy that. Right. And so people discover me all the time because I solve their problems before they come and talk to me.
Sure.
You have a listing suppression. I have the only video on hidden suppressions on YouTube. Nobody even knows what a hidden suppression is, but I do. And now you do because you watched my video, right? There are listing yank scenarios. There are all kinds of catalog troubleshooting, how to solve error code 52, whatever, how to fix my title, how to get my brand registry fixed because it got revoked because Amazon's become a platform of revoke everybody's brand registries for no reason, right? Like all of those scenarios, we have them documented. And then when somebody sends me an email with the same question, what do? Hey, that's a great question. Here's 2 sentences on your answer. And by the way, if you want to learn more, click this video. And I've already answered that question 2 years ago.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. That's definitely a very good idea for creating content there.
Yeah, it makes it easy, right?
Yeah.
List customer problems, asking what they want, give it to them. Answer their problems.
Yeah. You don't have to think up everything to post there.
No, you don't need to go to AI and ask for ideas because if you do, you're going to sound like every other stupid AI bot right now on social media, right?
Yeah.
And I like actively try and avoid using AI personally. But
Sure.
All right, Ryan, thanks for being a great guest and,
Yep.
and also for being a coaching purchaser back in April. Appreciate that as well. If anybody else wants to hire me for coaching, I will post a link in the chat. We'll go into detail. And by the way, we don't have any other guests in queue behind the scenes. So if you want to be our last guest today, show up in that StreamYard link real quick before we shut down today. And I'm going to answer some written questions. If you're too scared to come on camera, post those written questions right now and we'll dive into that. But I do have a dedicated link I'm going to post here to book me for a coaching call. I just want to make sure I posted this. So if anybody wants that, they can get it. Link, there you go. Wrong link. That one's the right one. Calendly.com/myamazonguy/coaching. If you want to hire me for a coaching call, I even have an available appointment today. If you book it now, you can get that. Cool. Let's go over to written questions and we'll see what we got in the comments and the chat. Maximize e-commerce says this content is gold. Let's see what we got here. Looking down through the questions. Grant, very excited to watch your agency grow. Love your content already, especially the Amazon images you've created on LinkedIn. So Grant, that's a nice shout out to you. He was one of our first guests. Adil says, I run an agency that specializes and works with clothing. Very difficult vertical. We make lots of clothing content. Just wondered if a year of content would actually bring brands to me or is just good for credibility. All of the above, no question about it, right? Like if you show content that affects their vertical, they're going to think to themselves, if I don't hire this guy, my competitor will, right? All ships rise together as well. I don't sign any non-competes. I would take 10 clothing brands. And then when somebody asks you why, you tell them, well, because all ships rise together. David says, hello, we are an Amazon agency from the Czech Republic. I was just there last June, by the way. My wife's ancestry is from Prague. We visited the church where her great-great-grandfather was baptized last June. It was really cool. All right, so EU, 135 sellers. We have a hard time to get to new US and UK clients as strangers. Any tips? Focus on EU clients. You'll have an easier time than trying to get a US-based client. But there is strong demand for EU talent, for EU businesses right now. That'd be my first tip. Next tip would be everything else we talked about in our show today. Make lots of content. Speak to the consumer you are chasing. Help the ideal customer understand that you exist and speak a bunch to them. Grant, who joined us earlier, how do you think the US Amazon differs from the UK in terms of how they prioritize Amazon? Interesting. This question could be taken two different ways. One way it could be taken is like how the different platforms function. And the second would be how the seller functions. So the US market is ahead of the UK market by about 2 to 5 years in various different aspects. The market size is about 10 times bigger in the United States versus the UK. Germany, about a third the size of the US at this point, and Japan, up and coming, big time up and coming Japan. But I'm not sure how I want to answer that question, to be honest. I would say how they prioritize Amazon. The US market is more likely to embrace Amazon. I think I see more hostility in Europe against Amazon. So you have a lot more like uphill battle to convince them to let you work on Amazon for them. That's probably the biggest difference, I would say. And if you want to be our last guest today, click that StreamYard link, come on camera and ask me a question if you're brave. RB says, Steven, as soon as I learned you were not involved in the management of Amazon accounts and only people who will try to manage an Amazon account, I could hire your service. As I could not trust random newbies you would hire to look over my precious account. Well, I wouldn't be at 500 employees and 400 brands managed and a $20 million revenue per year unless the system works, right? And whether I manage an account or not, I don't think that makes me better or worse at running an agency. But I can tell you this, I'm spending more time training my internal people. I have more phone calls where I teach my people. So you do have that going for you. You're kind of right about that. Sally says, while I have a LinkedIn profile, I've not used it actively, therefore do not have a following. Will LinkedIn content still work to reach new clients? Yes. We had a big segment on LinkedIn today where we talked about adding 100 connections a week and posting daily. If you do that and you lead with value, you will get clients from LinkedIn. I do recommend making YouTube your bigger focus though. And then Sally, we covered how to make your LinkedIn a landing page by adding a cover photo, having your service section and your feature section filled out, and making sure you have a very clear destination of like who your customer is. Push away as many people as you pull in would be super important. All right, so I think we're wrapping up with the questions. We got Ryan coming in with this one, popping in another one. How do you overcome the Philippines English often falling short of American English when doing SEO? Is that part of the QA process, or do you hire other persons for copywriting? So back-end SEO, search term field, alt text, no problem all day long. Front end, we run it through AI. The AI is better than the American English, right? So I used to have employees in the United States that I get complaints from our brands about the copywriting. We never get complaints now, other than it looks like it was written by AI, which is true. It is. But guess what? AI is written for AI. What do I mean by that? Well, when you shop on Amazon as a consumer, images are for people, text is for robots. Nobody reads anymore these days. Think about it. Like structurally speaking, what was the last item you bought on Amazon? I bought a hat that will keep flies away from my neck, because when I go into the forest, and I was walking in the forest for 2 hours this morning, when I went in the forest, I was getting eaten alive. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. I wonder if there's a product for that. Well, I was talking to Sean on my team today, and she sent me a link to a product that solved my problem. I bought it in 5 seconds. I didn't look at any text. I just looked at the image and said to myself, yep, that will solve my problem. I don't want flies on my neck. This will solve that problem. And I bought it. So images are for people, text are for robots. Use AI for copywriting. No question about it. Grant's coming in hot again. For example, the US companies are prepared to run at a low margin to gain sales reviews and organic ranking. Yeah, you'd be surprised how many are also not willing to do that. UK companies don't really seem to prioritize organic ranking as highly. Education needed, I suspect. No, I can think of like 2 instances that a brand has ever come to me and said, Steven, I want to hire you for Amazon SEO. SEO is not sexy. It is not a value prop that our customers are asking for. We just know it's good for them. And so we package it in and we say, hire us and we'll grow your sales. We'll grow your traffic. And we tell them how we do it, but they don't really care how we do it. They just want the end results. So I don't necessarily know that you have to convince them that SEO is good for them. You just need to say, hey, here are the 17 ways I'm going to grow your sales, and package it in and say, here's the strategy. And as part of that strategy, we recommend lowering your price for 2-4 weeks, get some sales and traction, because you need sales to get sales on Amazon. And then articulating a game plan and what they can expect, right? So in an agency situation, you have to convince the brand that you're working with, here is my plan. They buy on strategy. Execution is table stakes, but they buy on strategy. They want to know that they believe that you can take them west. They want to believe that you're the one that can launch the rocket. And if you do that successfully well, you have to give them direction and expectation, right? The number one reason a client will fire an agency is because they're not meeting expectations. Ask your customer what they want, give it to them, then check, did I give you what you wanted? Customer, here is our plan for the next 90 days. We're going to do X, Y, Z. Here's what you can expect from us. Here's what you can expect from Amazon, and read into it like that. Max says, just found this live by chance. How frequent are they? So I'm ready next time. Max, I do an agency Q&A about once every 90 days, live Q&A like this. So go to myguy.agency and you'll see our last 2 of them. You'll want to catch up on those. Those are really cool. And then we do live Q&A for Amazon sellers every Fridays, and we have PPC Amazon questions on Tuesdays. So my main business model is selling to Amazon sellers. I just saw a lot of agencies buying my Amazon SOPs and decided to serve them as well. And that's what I've chosen to do. And by the way, as we wrap up today, as a reminder, our offer today, if you guys want to take advantage of it, is purchase our agency SOPs by going to myguy.agency. Cost is $3,500. You get all of our agency operations SOPs on how to run an agency if you do that. And if you do that today by midnight, we're going to throw in the brand manager playbook, an extra $300 value there. And this playbook is highly specific on how to grow an Amazon brand. It is highly in depth and will tell you exactly what to do, when to do it, what order, what priority, what's the impact, and the category of it is. So if you got somebody that really wants some PPC tips, you can go to the PPC section. You want some SEO tips, go to the SEO section. If you want logistics, we got it. So head over to myguy.agency, pick up our SOPs today. We'll throw in the brand manager playbook if you order by midnight. Anybody that orders today will automatically include that. We'll send that as a separate email, by the way. Cool. That is our show today. I am the founder of My Amazon Guy. We are a 500-person agency, 400 brands we serve, $20 million in annual revenue. And I love serving and teaching and being a professor of Amazon as well as agencies. And if you ever have a question or want some assistance, you can email me at podcast@myamazonguy.com, and I will shoot a resource personally. I will read those myself and shoot over a resource to help you wherever I can. Hit the subscribe button. Throw me a comment here if you're watching this on the replay. Tell me what the most valuable thing you learned was today. Helps us with the algorithm. Appreciate all that. Thanks for being a guest today, and you're very welcome, Grant, and everybody that tuned in today. Fantastic seeing you. We'll see you next time. My name is Stephen Pope, and I'm the founder of myamazonguy.com.